Let's talk about predictability. So for the support strategies today, I'm calling the categories predictability, motivation, and communication. You'll see there's a lot of overlap and intertwining of the strategies that we're going to talk about today. They're not perfect categories. They're just categories that help me organize my thoughts. So, flipping into predictability. So our key theme around predictability, and again, handout, page 2 at the top now. I'm going to talk to you about why predictability is important from the perspective that it can really help with reducing anxiety. This is not an autism thing, right? This is true for all of us. In a second, I'm going to show you how every single one of these things I'm going to talk about you also do for yourself, because it helps you to cope in the world. So we're going to talk about why we need to front load new expectations. I'm going to spend a bit of time talking about COVID specifically. Today's presentation, I'll try to weave in the COVID stuff as much as I possibly can. I know that I'm talking to people who are operating right now in very different contexts, whether you're a parent and you're trying to do things at home, whether you're a community leader and you're actually running programs, what those programs look like. So again, please prompt me in the chat box if you'd like me to COVIDize something for you that I'm talking about today. So the reason I'm pulling COVID out in this section is there are a lot of things that have changed as a result of this pandemic. There are a lot of things about your child's experience that are now different. So how can we prepare individuals for those changes? We're going to talk about schedules, we're going to talk about transition warnings, and we're going to talk about new things in general. So again, page 2 of your handout. Front loading is a phrase I really, really like. If you break down the phrase front loading, you're providing people with information up front. You're loading people with information up front. Okay? Everybody likes to have some sense of what's going to happen next. Now, people have different individual comfort or sort of zones of tolerance when it comes to unpredictability, but all of us have this to some extent. So front loading, loading people with information up front. What I want to think about for a second here, and I'm going to send us to Mentimeter again, is in your life, I'm not talking about you supporting your child. I'm talking about you supporting you. What are some ways that you prepare yourself for new experiences? Very good. People are already answering. Love it. Go online, research. Absolutely. Google. Yep. Look at pictures of the place I'm going to. Great. Read online reviews. Perfect. Try to learn about the new experience before it happens, so I basically know what to expect. Research. Heads up and cues. Google. Yes, this is a very good group today. You're totally onto it. Call ahead. Ask someone who has done the same or a similar thing before. Absolutely. Reconnaissance trip. Ask questions. Yep. Ask to observe a session beforehand. 100%. Okay. Read others' opinions. Yes, read reviews. Good. This is excellent. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for engaging with the Mentimeter. I can't even tell you how helpful that is as I stand here and just talk to a camera. I know that there's people actually listening. Okay. These are all great answers. I'm going to take us back here. The reason I had us do that is because, I really believe deeply that for people to understand how to use these strategies with someone else, you have to understand the value of the strategy because you can sort of see it in yourself even, right? So when you can start to understand how important it is to have those opportunities to know something about what you're about to do, especially if you've never done it before it happens, you can easily understand and empathize with someone else who might be struggling because they're in a situation they've never been in before with unfamiliar people doing unfamiliar activities, and they're struggling, right? We shouldn't be surprised because have we given them the same opportunity we would give ourselves in terms of giving them information up front, loading them with information up front about what to expect. Okay? So, as I said at the beginning, every single strategy we're going to talk about today needs to be customized to the person. So the way that I front load myself might be different than the way you front load yourself. And I would certainly expect that to be different the way you might front load your 4-year-old, or the way you're going to front load your 14-year-old, or a student in your class who's 7, or a child who's participating in your community program that's 12. But all of those people need front loading. They all benefit from front loading to varying degrees, depending on, again, some of this, definitely there's an intersection with their individual personalities and, as I said before, tolerance for unpredictability, but everybody needs it. So let's talk about some different ways you can front load. I'm going to show you some examples in a minute. For now, here's just a few kind of to get you thinking. You can show pictures. So some people identified this in their samples of how they front load themselves. They'll go on Google and look for pictures of whatever it is they're going to. Here's an example that's just relevant because I was just looking at it this morning. This morning I noticed, happily, that in Vancouver, the Stanley Park Christmas train is operating. I think that's really nice. They have some really, really strong pandemic protocols. I'm curious, maybe I want to take my kid to the Christmas train, right? So what am I going to do? Google, right? What am I going to expect when I go? I see some pictures. I've actually never done the Christmas train before. So it's nice to just go online and look at some pictures of what I might expect from our experience. Sometimes you can actually watch a video of something that you're going to do before you do it. An example I really like to share about this is at the workshop on October 22nd, I talked about an event that Canucks Autism Network is involved with every year called Surf's Up. And it's run by another great local nonprofit called the SUPA Society. And what they do is they take children with autism and their siblings surfing for a day in Tofino. One year, I kid you not, we had a child register for that event. I knew this child from other activities that we had done at Canucks Autism Network. And I really was a little bit nervous, if I'm being honest, about how the child would do, because I thought, wow, this is a kid who sometimes has a hard time in unfamiliar environments with new people. And anybody going to the Pacific Ocean to try surfing for the first time is going to feel some level of anxiety because it's cold, it's windy, there's a lot of unpredictability there, there's currents. I mean, it's a very overwhelming environment. And I thought, I'm a little worried about how this kid's going to do. Now, his parents are brilliant. They, before they came to Tofino, had sat down with him and watched videos on YouTube of learning to surf. So the child showed up front-loaded not only with what learning to surf looks like, but also with how to put on a wetsuit, which is almost the harder skill of the two. And they had practiced it in advance. So he had done it many times before he got to Tofino, and it was his turn for his lesson. And the kid showed up, put the wetsuit on, saw the board, literally made a dart for the board, and we were like, okay, let's go. Like, he's ready, let's go. So the instructor's running and the support worker is running, and here we are with the kid, and we're running out to the ocean with the surfboard. The kid happily hops on the board, ready to go. And I was floored. I was literally floored. My jaw was like on the sand. And I went up to his parents and I just said, this is amazing. Like, I'm just so happy. Like, he's doing so well and he seems so excited and so happy to be here. And that's when Dad told me, he said, oh yeah, we just like went on YouTube and like looked at all these videos. And I thought, that's the power of front loading. That's the power of watching a video and front loading yourself for an experience. So true story. A strategy that we use in our programs, we call them activity storybooks. There's a strong parallel, if some of you are familiar with social stories. These are not social stories because we don't follow all the correct protocols of how to write a social story. These are more just storybook format of what to expect at a Canucks Autism Network program. If you go to our website and you look at the programs, on every program page, you will see a downloadable activity storybook link. And I'm going to show you one in a second. So the purpose of the story is, when I come to a Canucks Autism Network swim program, we're not running swim right now, maybe multi-sport program, I will see coaches. There will be balls and toys for us to play with. We will try kicking. You know, it's kind of just giving the kid that information about what to expect before they come. You can show schedules. So before you go to the activity, you can show this is what's going to happen. So say we're going to the Christmas train. We're going to go to the train. We're going to park the car. We're going to go to a lineup, show our ticket, get on the train, go around the train ride, get off the train, go home, right? That is front loading. In advance, describing to the person what to expect when they get there. If you remember the days when we had conferences, I used to do all kinds of front loading by looking at schedules. So I would go online before the event, look at the schedule, think to myself, okay, on the first day, I'm going to do this and this and this and this. That's exactly the same I just described with the child on the Christmas train. We like that. We like to know what to expect, what it's going to feel like, what the timing is going to be, when those breaks are going to happen. Breaks are important for kids, also for adults. Okay, the last one I just had on there is a checklist. So very parallel again, but you might want to front load the person you're supporting with. What are some of the expectations? So Christmas train. Sorry, I'm using this one all the time today. We are going to have to wear a mask. So that might be on your checklist. We are going to have to keep 2 meters apart, however you describe that to your child. We're going to have to sanitize our hands when we get there or wash our hands. You know, you're showing in advance, maybe not the schedule, but maybe some really important key things that the person needs to know and you want to remind them of before it happens. So let's talk about COVID for a second. Let's talk about, I think all of us are almost exhaustingly familiar with this now. If you're thinking about sending your child to an activity during COVID-19, what are some things you want to front load them about? I'm thinking about families who attend our CAN programs. They are used to coming to a Canucks Autism Network program and it looking a certain way. There are some very key differences right now. So what are some things as a parent that I might want to tell my kid to expect or remind them to expect before they arrive? If you don't want to think about it in that context, think about it if I'm a parent and it's a family experience that we're going to, you know, maybe every single year, or maybe we want to go to a restaurant as a family. Not something I'm doing much of right now, but there are people out there for sure who are. What are some things that I need to remind my child of before we go? Parents may not stay. That's awesome. Good catch. You'll have to wear a mask. Exactly. We're going to do things virtually. Great. Less physical contact. Perfect. Really good answers. You have to be hands off. No hugs. You'll have to keep a distance. There will be many things you have to do to stay safe. That's right. Good. Really good. You have to be patient. Thank you for that. We are certainly finding that's very true. As we work out the hiccups of everything, we are asking for a lot of patience. Really good. Thanks, everybody. You'll have to wash your hands a lot. No hands in your mouth. Yeah, that's a really tricky one for some kids, for sure. Okay. Thank you. I'm going to flip back. Really good. So the key point being, again, if I think about our sport and recreation programs we're running right now, some of the key differences are CAN programs used to mean a high five every 10 seconds. We don't high five anymore. That's a big change. And I'm actually seeing when I'm going out and watching our programs right now, not just the kids, but the staff are really, it's so built into their DNA to give the kid a high five when he does something well. We are really trying to build this into people that you can do your distance high five, you can do your funny, silly dance. You know, there's lots of other hilarious things you guys can do together, but that's a big one for a lot of kids. There's no high fives, there's no hugs, okay? You might have to wear a mask. Parents are often not allowed to stay and watch. That's a big change for lots of people. And then all the other ones that we see now everywhere, right? So you might have to wear a mask, you'll have to wash or sanitize your hands, you need to keep a distance, all of those things. It is great when you're doing this front loading right now during COVID about the changes. as much as you possibly can to try to focus on the positive, right? So the pandemic's a downer. There's no way around it. There's so many things we can't do anymore that we used to be able to do. And things we have to do differently now. Having said that, the way we frame the experience is so important. So I want my child to be excited to go out and do things. So instead of talking to them about, what you won't be able to do, as much as possible, remember to try framing it as, here are the things you can still do, right? So what activities does your kid still get to do that they love, that they've always done as part of that program? Whether that's playing a game or, seeing coaches that they know and they like that are familiar, going to a place they like to go to. If you're doing gymnastics and you know the trampoline's going to be available, it's just going to look different. Remind your kid, you'll still get to jump on the trampoline just like before, except now you're going to do it this way, right? Let me show you a few examples as I promised I would. Remembering that you're going to front load before the activity. Within the activity, if you're the recreation leader or as the parent, if you're doing something with your child in the community, during the activity, you may be constantly front loading as well. Okay? So let me show you some examples of that. I'll use the CAN program as an example first. So one of the things that we're doing when the kids arrive is we start the session by reviewing together some of our key rules. So we need to try to remember to keep our hands away from our face. We need to wash our hands. We need to keep a distance, et cetera, et cetera. The image that is on this slide has actually already changed. That's how we roll with COVID. Just constant adjustments of the things that we're needing to do in programs. Now, reading the rules, of course, doesn't necessarily mean that everyone understands them, right? So we want to do some active practicing as much as possible in this process. One of the games we play with the kids right now is the helicopter game. So we get the kids to put their arms out and spin around, and your helicopter shouldn't touch anyone else's helicopter. And that means that we're keeping space, okay? We have lots and lots of visual cues as well, which I'll talk about in a second. There we go. So visual cues have never been in more places than they are right now for all of us. So a visual cue is anything in the environment that shows you what you're supposed to do. Maybe on the break I'll take a picture, because in the hallway right behind me, there are arrows taped on the floor showing what direction you're supposed to walk, right? Because it's one way. There's barriers put up to separate the traffic. There's signs everywhere. I used to talk about visual cues in presentations and people had to stop and think for a second, what would that look like in my program? And now I feel like everybody gets it because visual cues are everywhere. They've always been great. When you use a visual cue, you don't have to stand there and tell someone to do something. Okay? So the more visual cues you can add, the more the more easy it is for just kids to see what you'd like them to do. So lots and lots of recreation programs right now are operating with kids sort of in their own box, right? So I've seen one example would be like dance studios who have got each kid in a big box, and then that kid's in their box over there. Everyone's got their own space. The spaces are well distanced. That's how we're helping kids remember to stay in their own spot. Okay, that's a visual cue. Now, as I said before, not just for COVID, right? So many visual cues you can use to teach kids so many skills all the time. I'll come back to that later. But for now, just thinking about COVID, many, many visual cues in the environment. Let me show you what I mean by a storybook as we're getting close to our break here. So remember, as I said before, the storybook the purpose is to give kids that information up front about what to expect. When you download them from our website, they are in like a PDF. Storybooks can be very, very simple. So if you're wanting to write a storybook for a program that you run, or if you're a parent and you think, maybe I'd like to try a storybook for this activity that we're going to do, all we do is take pictures, copy, paste them in a Word document, text box below, and then save the whole thing as a PDF. So it really doesn't have to be a super high-tech thing. So here's a storybook that we wrote for our first in-person program that we piloted this summer during COVID. So I'll get to go to the program. It will be so much fun. We have some new rules this year that I need to know. The kids are all nicely spaced. When I arrive, I will line up on the markers that will show me where to stand. I will wait my turn to sign in. When I arrive, I will answer questions about my health. So this is obviously new. We never used to stand at the gate and ask kids if they had a cough. This is all new stuff. If I'm sick, I will need to stay home. Oops, I was not showing up. Next, I will sanitize or wash my hands. We will say our 5 rules together. When I'm at the program, I will stay 2 meters from others. My coach might be wearing a face covering, but that's okay. It keeps us both healthy and safe. We will play fun games and learn new skills. We won't do high fives, but we can do pretend high fives from 2 meters apart. The coaches are so much fun. I will have a great time at the program. That's the end. So, in summary, front loading, not just for COVID, not just for the things about COVID, but all the time, anytime you're about to try something new. And I think people used to think of, they kind of go to when they thought about front loading was one of those storybooks. Those things are great, but there are a million other ways to do front loading, as we've just discussed. Videos, go on the website, look at the pictures together, show a schedule, show a checklist, okay? You've got to customize it. If you're, working with a 15-year-old, they may have a format that works much better for them that's not a storybook, right? I'm going to show you a quick video. Hopefully it works. So this is a video we made a couple years ago to front load both parents and children about what our skate program looks like. Remember my example about the surfing though. You don't have to create some customized video for videos to be an effective front loading tool. Go on YouTube, show your child, youth, etc. Just anyone doing the activity would be a good starting place.